What do you get when you mix ghost stories, crime fiction, and a scroll through paranormal TikTok? In this episode, I'm joined once again by author H.P. Bain, also known as Heather, to talk about the inspiration behind her latest book, The Craft of Writing Supernatural Mysteries, and the Realities of Self-Publishing. Good evening and welcome back to Paraghoul Paranormal Discoveries from the Dark. I'm your host, K.D. Culpa, a horror author and paranormal researcher based in Regina, Saskatchewan. Each week on the podcast, we dive into the shadows of Saskatchewan's past and even go beyond, uncovering dark history, mysteries, urban legends, and sometimes we even get to some monsters. If you're one of the listeners that comes back each week but aren't yet subscribed, please hit that follow button and share it with someone who loves the weird and wonderful. I've got more big guests and haunted deep dives coming your way, so join me now as we explore the unknown and bring life to the ghosts and monsters hiding in the dark. All right, so last time you were on the show, we covered quite a bit about writing, background as a crime reporter, and we even talked about some of your paranormal experiences. So we talked about, I think, St. Louis Light and your some PA experience, Prince Albert experiences.
Right, yeah.
And I'm really excited that you agreed to come back again for our season 2.
And I'm excited you invited me to. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always
I think
fun.
oh, definitely. I think one of my highlights from the last time you were here was when you're talking about, combining your experience as a crime reporter with a series that has an investigator that can see ghosts of, the homicide victims. So it's just a really cool idea. And I've been following you on social media, so I know you've been publishing more and busy.
Always.
But I'd love to know what you've been up to since we last chatted.
Well, I have to say, I actually took a little tiny bit of almost a mini, not intentional in a sense, a mini hiatus, because I try to keep up a 3-month schedule sort of thing, so a new book every 3 months. But I have had this project that I have been just, it's kind of my curse. It's just kind of been this book I've been trying to finish for a few years already. And so I finally just said, you know what, I just gotta write this thing. So I kind of took almost like a little hiatus so I could get this thing finally finished. And I'm almost there. I did put out another book, so I did sort of take some time away from that project to finish the next Sully book. So that's come out. And so now the next one finally I have lined up is this one that I'm going to finally get done and get released this summer. So I'm very excited about that. I've had quite a few people asking me kind of when it's coming out. So for the last couple of years already, I made the mistake of releasing a cover for it to my social media folks. And, because thought I was sort of going to be able to work on it, and then things just got away from me. So they've been asking for a while, and I can finally give them some good news that I'm going to have it out this summer. So that one is, so I have a character from the Edge Creek Light, which I know I talked about on your podcast last time. And the one that's kind of roughly based on the St. Louis Light, sort of my own little spin on it. And that light is sort of this ghost train that's manned by a reaper that I came up with called Tracker Jack Winter. So he's kind of become a little bit of a favorite among people who've, kind of really want to know a bit more about his backstory. So I finally have been working on creating that for a while, and finally I'm just like literally 2 chapters away from being done.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's been you know this as a writer. Sometimes you start working on something and you're just like, I hate this, and I just need to start over. And this is one of those books that was like that. It's just like you want to give it the right voice, and you want to give him the right voice, and you don't you want it to sort of stand on its own too, separate from your other stuff, and have its own kind of flavor. And then it's like a question of, well, where do I want to go with this series? Because you don't want to really, repeat the same types of things that you've done with the other stuff that you've got. So it's kind of like it's been a struggle. So I kind of started the book about 4 times, the first one. And like first books are always a bit of a nightmare because it's
Yes,
just
that's
kind
true.
of, yeah, you just have to get that right, the right voice for it, and just be able to sort of hammer out a good opening story. You need that first one to really just, kind of hit all the right spots. And I don't know, I kind of thought three or four times I thought I had it, and then it was just I start writing and it's like, this isn't working. And so I think I finally got to where I need to be. So thankfully I can finally get it out. Anyways, so I'm looking forward to finally getting that one squared away. And after that, I've got that one I'm looking. I'm going to get a pre-order set up quite shortly, I think, and I'm aiming. I'm going to aim for an end of July release for that one, just to give me a little more time to get it all, get everything done I need to get done. And
Yep.
after that, then I've got another Sully one I want to do for Halloween, of course.
Of course.
So that'll be the next thing, which I can chat about later if you like. And then I've got another Ray Mallory book that I've started. So that's going to be sometime in the winter, either end of December, end of January, depending kind of how how much I can kind of get done.
Yep.
So yeah, I've got my schedule kind of sorted for this next year, and thankfully all my, you know, sort of ideas all sorted, and then it's just kind of just got to sit down and write them now. So yeah,
Sometimes the hardest part.
yes, I know. It seems like there's always other things to do, so it's you know, a bit of a, especially when you're running your own business and you're kind of doing all the stuff yourself, and it's can
Yep.
be a bit of a some days are busier than others. So, but
Oh,
regardless,
definitely.
it's getting the words in that's important. So I do manage to always get that part done at least. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. And do you find that your readers kind of influence your writing a lot, or like what's coming up? Because you said that you had mentioned this cover and they've
Yeah.
been asking you for it. So has it come
Yeah.
up a lot where that happened, or?
I think so. I mean, it's sort of one of those things I didn't, the Sullivan Gray stuff, because I had the initial 7 books that I'd put out, starting in 2018. And so I got that series done, and I hadn't really ever expected to do more with him. I kind of had just planned this 7 book sort of, and it's a complete 7 book series, and I had the whole story arc all down, and
Yeah.
it was all finished. And then, yeah, I ended up with enough people that were wanting more Sully and Des. So I kind of thought, okay, guess I'll give them another few. But I kind of purposely, with that series, I purposely make them into just sort of one-offs, like standalone books that people can pick up and all of that. And I have, a few little sort of things that follow through the series, but like Sully's current fiance, and kind of a slight development with their relationship, even though it's not what I'd call central. I'm not a romance writer, so I don't make it a
Yeah.
central feature, but it's I've got little threads like that you can kind of follow, but generally they're meant to be standalones, because my plan was always, okay, you know what, I'll write them as long as people want to read them, and then eventually when people are tired of them, then I'll just quit and I'll move on to the next thing. But so far, so far people aren't sick of them, so I'm still writing them. And I think I forget, I think I just released the 18th, I think. So,
Oh, wow.
so,
Yeah.
so far it's still going. So definitely, I mean, to that extent, I do, definitely am influenced by readers. Just, I figure if it's, Ray too is another one, because I know she's been a pretty consistent seller for me, so it's one of those two. I suspect I'm going to be definitely putting out a few more on that. But yeah, those, from a business perspective, it's definitely key to kind of paying attention to what project I'm going to do based on what's selling. So there's always
Yeah.
that business aspect, but from a personal perspective, it makes me kind of giddy, because I love writing about these characters. So it's like any excuse I can have to do it, great, right? So yeah,
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If you enjoy writing the characters, it's a lot easier to keep writing them.
yeah,
For sure.
that's the thing. It's true.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true.
I know last time we talked, you also talked about how you like save paranormal videos and stuff from YouTube and different things to help you kind of think. So
Yeah.
I was just curious, do you have any that like you really wish you could write in something or like a favorite, but you just haven't been able to find a story or
Well, it's kind of actually along the lines of books, but as opposed to YouTube videos. I mean, generally, I sort of grab some of those stuff. Like there's a Slaptam is one that that I kind of watch because there's so a lot of just little bits and
yep.
pieces of things, and I just kind of like, ooh, that would be a good character potentially, or that would be kind of a good element to throw into a book. So I'll just sort of make notes and, just kind of, well, like the school one that I just released, the Kilburn School Haunting,
Yep.
that was actually based on a Slaptam, roughly on a Slaptam video, like one of the
Oh,
clips.
okay. Yeah.
One of the short clips that I found absolutely totally creepy. It was this janitor that was filming inside this school hallway, and he went into a school. This school is supposed to be haunted apparently, and so he had gone into this classroom, and they had all these balloons, and one of them was this, I forget what color it was, I think it was red or something, but anyway, he's walking. He's watching, like he's filming this balloon, and he's talking about how creepy it is. And as you're watching, it starts to follow him.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, so he ends
Oh,
up
that
like,
gives me chills.
it's so creepy. Oh, it's so creepy. Anyway, I find balloons creepy to begin with because they just kind of float there. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like, well, never mind the whole Stephen King thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, so yeah, so I'm watching this, and he's backing into the hallway, and this balloon literally comes out of the classroom, and it starts following him out of the class and down the hall. And then at the end of the hall, you see the shadow dart across, like there's a set of doors, glass, with the glass doors that they have,
Yeah.
fire doors. And you can just see through the glass, the shadow just dart across. And I was just watching this, and it gave me chills, and I thought,
Yeah.
that'd be kind of an interesting, I mean, just as a starting point for a book. I mean, obviously, you make up a whole story yourself and all of that, but I was just such a spooky kind of moment. I just thought, that's like a perfect inspiration to start like a school, because I'd meant to do a school based haunting for a while. Like I've had a few people ask me about, well, why don't you do schools? Schools are so creepy and they've got all these stories. So it just kind of became the impetus for me to kind of do that one. So that was one that I did. And the next one I want to do is actually another thing that's book based, which is the Headless Horseman, because
Oh
thankfully
yeah.
that's now at least in the public realm. What's the word I'm looking for? But it's, yeah, as far as the copyright is thankfully not there. And I mean, obviously, I'm going to make up my own story. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I don't want to do, you know, base it. I don't want to sort of create another Ichabod Crane tale. But it's just the whole idea of like, there's a few of those sorts of characters that just kind of legends, and I just thought it would be fun to take a just kind of a sort of one of those legends everybody knows and just kind of put my own little twist on it and turn it into a murder mystery. And so, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that. So I've been plugging away on a cover for that one, and I'm kind of thinking up a plot now. So that'll
Oh,
be,
fun.
yeah, so that'll be once I finish the Tracker Jack one officially and get that one out, then I'll turn my mind a little more fully to that next Sully one. But I'm kind of looking forward to taking a spin with sort of one of those nice sort of classic legends and seeing what I can make of it, with my characters, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. Well, yeah, and I find sometimes it's fun to bring in some of that, not necessarily like the full legend, like you said, but making a spin on it to see how you can kind of turn it into your own story.
Yeah, like I'm thinking Halloween Fest, like it being
Yeah.
sort of a small town in the area with a Halloween festival and featuring some Headless Horseman type character, and or having their own legend based on a Headless Horseman sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, it'll be kind of something I'm still plugging away, sort of thinking about, but it's yeah, it's definitely, I love the old story and about it, and I just thought it'd be kind of fun to play around with it a little bit.
Yeah. No, definitely. When have you found that your writing like process has changed a lot over the past 18 books or
No,
so? Or do you think
not.
you're still
I think it's pretty much the same. I mean, that's one thing. I think I've managed to settle into a fairly comfortable routine for the most part. I mean, it's being able to do this full time makes a big difference because
Oh,
my
definitely.
writing routine when I was, still reporting was obviously a lot different. It was a matter of waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning and then
Yeah.
writing until I had to get ready for work and then coming home and from work and then getting back into writing and the business stuff I was starting to work on at that time and all of that. But it's so yeah, from that sense, now I wake up at a normal hour,
Yeah.
have coffee and do whatever and then after that, okay, and then I can sort of start working on what I want to work on. But so yeah, it's definitely a more relaxed process. But generally speaking, I think I've settled into a pretty good routine, and it's kind of just making sure I have a good idea of how many words I kind of need to hammer out, in any given week or day, and then just getting those words in and
Yeah.
yeah, other than that, I don't know. I can kind of set the schedule I need to set. So it's been nice. I have to say, it's been very nice.
Yeah. Well, and I guess one thing we didn't talk about the last time we chatted was, and I know it's a question that as an author we always get, and it's, do you have any advice for aspiring writers?
Oh boy, well, I think the obvious one is always read, right? I mean, read as much as you can and read in the genre you want to write in because there's it depends, right? I mean, when I first started writing, I had zero desire to publish. It wasn't one of those things. I mean, as a kid, like as a teenager, you have these little. It was a dream. I mean, it was this dream I had that I'd be like doing what I'm doing now, basically,
Yeah.
like writing full time and being able to sort of just do the thing I love to do all day long. But it wasn't a reality, right? It wasn't at that time, there wasn't really an option to do that. And as I mentioned before, there's no way I would have been able to get a publishing contract at that point with the kind of writing I was doing. It wasn't nowhere near good enough. But I mean, it's one of those things, right? Practice too. It's like, so read, like, first off, reading as much as you can, period. But then reading in your genre, in the genre that you want to write, just so you can start to learn the tropes and start to understand story structures in that genre and, what are reader expectations. And so that way, if you do want to turn it into a job and you do want to, or you just even just publish, right? I mean, not that it's a full-time thing, but you want to get your books published, either traditionally or independently, which is what I do. It's one of those things, at least you kind of know, it gives you a leg up in terms of being able to sort of have a product ready to go that is going to be appealing to people who are reading.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I mean, obviously reading and then just, you know, writing. I mean, writing as much as you can. I mean, practice makes perfect, as it all, as anybody knows. And I just think, always I find research fun. I don't know if it's because I'm a ex-journalist, but I mean, I've always loved sort of, I'm sort of a history nerd, a museum nerd. And, so I think it's, even as a kid, that was the stuff I loved. I loved to read about, sort of historical stuff and spooky stuff and, crime and, so it was always an interest of mine anyway. So researching can be fun. And I think that's always something I like to tell aspiring, writers too. Like if it's an area you want to write in, like for instance, crime, if you want to cover, or if you want to write about crime from a fictional perspective, go to court sometimes. Just go
Yeah.
and watch court. Just sit there. Honestly, there's no better. It's open. I mean, anybody can go. So that is like honestly the best thing you can do. I think if you want to write crime fiction is just go to court, like as much as you possibly can, and just go to docket, go to a trial, go to some sentencing, some dangerous offender hearings, whatever. I mean, there's always things you can go and watch, and just to give you a good perspective on the people and the procedures and all of that. Like, so it depends obviously what area, but I mean, there's, get to know people, talk to people, in that area. I mean, we might have relatives that you could sit and talk to, or friends of the family that would work in a certain field.
Yeah.
So, it's like for your purposes. I mean, the medical stuff, for instance, like that's one of those things you really have to kind of, get your head around. I mean, unless, heaven forbid, you've, been in a situation where, you've had a family member there, like I think lots of us have, who've, been in a coma or been in that situation. But yeah, the medical side of writing, when you're writing about somebody in a coma, they're trying to get that medical, the medical terminology you might need to use, or the procedures involved. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of that whole, just sort of trying to get into the head of somebody who's in a coma, because you do hear that about how there's still that awareness. I mean, I had a loved one who'd been in a coma for a while after an accident, and that's one of the things they tell you, that that they can, they think they can hear you, and in some capacity, right, you can still sort of in some way that they're aware, and or that from time to time even. So so I mean, I find that fascinating reading your book about, how much, just from the medical side of things, how much you've kind of probably had to go away and learn,
Definitely
right?
had to do a lot of Googling.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. So, I was going to ask you about something else. Did you ever see The Odyssey when do you know that one? The TV
Oh, I
series?
know the name.
It's a TV series from, when was that out? In the 90s, or is it in the 80s even? It was about a young boy. I used to watch that when I was a kid. It was one of those shows after you got home from school it was on. But it was about a young boy who had a fall, and he ended up in a coma. And so I was reading your book, and I was thinking, it sort of put me in mind of that, because it was like he had this whole, as he was in a coma, he had this entire world that sort of inside his head, that it's sort of this entire, this entire kind of sort of attempt to get out of this world and to come back. And it was just really, it just kind of put me in mind of that. And I had to ask you if you'd ever seen it, because I remember it was just one of those really cool kind of weird, but really cerebral kind of shows that I just thought, I just didn't know. I just had to ask you if you had, because it's just sort of put me in mind. So, but anyway, I have to put a plug.
I know I've heard of it. I don't remember if I watched a lot of it, but I know I've heard of it.
Right.
But no, anyway.
Yeah. If you see, I think it's on Prime. Honestly, it's on.
I'll have to watch it.
I think it's on Prime. So if you ever get a chance, just have a boo. It's quite a cool show in its time. I have to rewatch it, because it's been many years since I saw it, but I just I have recollections of it being quite a cool show. So
I'll look at it.
Hopefully it still watches as well as I remember. But
that's the other thing. You never know. This many years later.
No.
Some of the stuff we loved in the 90s are not so great now.
No. Oh boy. I know.
Yeah.
Some I won't mention any names, but I can think of a few shows that I watched as a kid that I put on again years later, and I was like, what the heck? It happens.
Well, I know we're gonna have to wrap up here, but in our last chat, I know we talked about paranormal experiences, with like the St. Louis Light and with Prince Albert. But do you have any others, or any other recollections come up since we talked?
Yeah, you know what? Something actually interesting happened to me the other day, which I thought was kind of neat. Like, we live on this farm that's been in our family since 1910. So, and we've actually had. Well, we did have like way long ago, as lots of people have, like several deaths on the farm as well, and and historically, and so it's kind of one of those things that's always in your head, but doesn't scare me, but it's something you think about. So we've had a few things that have happened here over the years, but that's sort of, I can't quite explain. But I mean, there was something the other day happened, because I got this new bike, which I'm loving. I got an e-bike, yay! So finally, so yay, I'm enjoying it. But anyways, coming up the drive, after I took the bike out, was riding, and I was coming back up the drive, like up the road, and I saw what I thought was my dad standing next to this, like right at the end of the road. There's my grandpa's old garage,
Okay.
and so I saw a man standing there, and I like full-bodied, solid guy, and I thought, well, I figured it was my dad. So as I'm getting closer, this figure steps back behind the garage. And I thought, oh, he's going to try to scare me. I thought for sure. So I thought my dad's going to jump out at me when I get close. Just
Yeah.
because that's what he does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but anyway, I get up to the edge of the garage and there's nobody there. And I thought, I mean, like I say, it doesn't scare me. I just find it really cool. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always sort of interested in that because I've seen a few times in my life, I've seen what I assumed are full, like an actual person, like a full solid person. But then then they just vanish. And so
Yeah.
I think I talked about one last time I was on to, like with some Prince Albert one that had happened. So once in a while it happens. So you just suddenly, there's just a physical person and then they're just not there. And it's, so,
Yeah.
I don't know. I find it interesting. I have no idea. I don't know what it was or how to explain it, but it's definitely a solid man who's suddenly not there. So go figure. I don't know. I still don't know who it was.
Yeah.
Wasn't close enough to make out any features, but I'm hoping it was my grandpa. That would be really
Yeah.
cool.
Maybe.
So fingers crossed. You kind of, it's always nice when you sort of see somebody and you realize, oh, it's, somebody you
Yes, we
love.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you feel like they're still there watching out for you,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So that's always a nice feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of times they are nice feelings. I don't find them that scary,
No.
but maybe that's just because none of mine have been trying to be scary. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. That could be.
Cool. Well, yeah. Well, thanks for coming
Well,
on.
thank you. I always enjoy chatting with you. So thank you so much. And I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to finishing your book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me know how it goes.
I will. It's so good. I'm really enjoying it. So thank you.
Thank you for listening to Paraghoul Paranormal. If you've had a ghostly encounter or unexplained experience, I want to hear it. Make sure you head over to kdkulpa.com and submit your story. You might just hear it featured in a future episode. Before you go, I have something thrilling to share. Tickets are now on sale for the YQR Haunts Ghost Tour of Regina. Join us for a spine-tingling night as we explore the city's most haunted locations, uncover chilling local legends, and maybe we'll even encounter something otherworldly. We'll even have some snacks along the way. Tickets are available now, but spots are limited, so make sure you head to my website, kdkulpa.com, to grab yours. As always, thank you for being here. Every listen, every share, every review helps this show grow and lets me keep bringing you deeper into the shadows. So if you haven't already, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Stay tuned for more episodes where we uncover more secrets, unravel more mysteries, and delve deeper into the shadows. This is Katie Culpa, signing off. Until next time, my ghouls.